I think about one of my clients from selling something for $3,000 to now selling something for $50,000. Once I walk them through the real value that we have created for them and why somebody would buy this, it's like I just watch their confidence rise. They're like, oh my gosh.
You found the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where business owners share their knowledge about what's working in the market today. Welcome. Thanks for joining the Live Local Marketing Podcast today with Ann. Ma'am, how are we feeling today?
I am doing amazing. How about you, Billy?
Doing great. Ready to pick your brain. You've got a huge resume, so I'm very excited about some of these questions and how we're going to answer it, because you have a lot of things and a very illustrious background. So I'm excited.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm
absolutely. We'll do the quick background and we'll hop right into the questions. Ann is the top business growth expert, marketing and sales strategist and consultant. She's a CEO of Carden, Inc. and the expert in the You Attract marketing and media agency and brand. She has more than 43 years of business, marketing, and sales experience, with over 34 years as an entrepreneur. And she's built 7 successful businesses and currently owner of 2. She's been featured on affiliates of ABC, NBC, CW, Fox, among many other media outlets, and has been featured guest on hundreds of podcasts and virtual stages, such as the Business Innovator Radio and, of course, the Live Local Marketing Podcast. And it's been heard on such things as the businessinnovatorsradio.com. That is a lot. You have been through a lot of stuff. Are you ready? Yes, that's right.
Shows my age.
It's an experience. I'm excited. Are we ready for the questions? This is going to be great.
Let's do it.
All right. Talk to us about what you consider to be your first win.
My first win was going global with my first business before the internet. So 35 years ago, it was started as a side business. We were kind of financially struggling after I left my corporate career and wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And we were struggling. I was looking for a way to make money. And I started a small craft business that turned into a global business where I employed a lot of people. Even, 35 something years ago, I was making over 6-figure income, which was kind of unheard of. Now that's nothing, but back then, and we didn't have the internet. So I had to do things the old fashioned way. And so that would probably be my first win that I would consider as an entrepreneur.
All right. So what is the old fashioned way? Now I'm curious, how did you make international with that? You were in California at the time?
I was in Missouri. We had just moved back to Missouri, and I had left my California career when we made the move back. We wanted to raise our kids back in the Midwest around family. And I started that business to go global. I had to advertise in international magazines. So it was all print. And it was so crazy, Billy, because I would literally have to spend thousands of dollars in those magazines before I would ever even know if what I was featuring was going to be a win. Wow. So you would have, it's just so different today. It's so different. Yes, we can try things in real time. We can get real-time feedback. And oh my gosh, that would have been such a game changer. But that's how I ended up being global. I was in stores all across the country and I was shipping all over the world. They were unique dolls. They were my handcrafted dolls. And I had a lot of moms that worked for me. And it was the whole big thing.
What magazines were it? I'm curious now. You really had the attention. What magazines did you feature and how did you know which ones to go with?
Yeah. So the main magazine at that time was Country Sampler. And it literally featured artisans and people that were doing what I was doing. And you took out a small ad. However, my dolls did get selected for the cover of one of those issues, which was a big deal because there were literally thousands of crafters in this magazine. But once I got a following, all my dolls were signed and numbered. I had people collected them. They were waiting for the next dolls to come out because I had kind of a series of dolls. And once people started following and they loved my work, they would look for the next issue. Okay, what dolls is Ann coming out with now? And so that's how it was kind of like getting a following without, again, Facebook and the internet. Yeah.
And a quick break before we get to that next answer, because I know that answer is going to be brilliant, which is why I chose this moment to interrupt. If you love what you're seeing and you want to run your business off of warm marketing referrals, visit our website, livelocalwarmmarketing.com. It's got valuable resources, office hours, memberships, the book, an array of resources to help you get rid of cold calls, cold leads, door knocking, and run a business you can be proud of through referrals and warm marketing. Now, back to the show.
Yeah, so people would get the issue of the magazine and then they would call the order. And at that time we had, landlines and people called in. And I remember the day I got a call from a lady in Iceland and she
Nice.
wanted my dolls. And she said she had been collecting them and she had many of my dolls and she was just waiting for the next ones to come out, the new ones to come out. And that was such here's the other thing. It really warmed my heart. Like it was super cool to get a call from Iceland, but here I am, a little Missouri girl, right? But the thing that
Yeah.
really, really warmed my heart, you think, oh, I was making dolls. It wasn't, you're not impacting people.
No.
But this lady told me that her husband was in the military. She was an American. Her husband was in the military and she was in Iceland and she was very lonely. And she said, my dolls literally gave her so much joy. And you would have never thought that like a
No.
material
That's
thing could
awesome.
do that. But that warmed my heart like you have no idea.
That's amazing. All right, side question. Do you still have the magazine that you were featured on? Did you keep that magazine?
Somewhere. I do
Somewhere.
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 Yeah.
A nice little
Yeah,
collector's item. That's
when I sold that business, I actually sold all of my patterns. Another revenue stream I had created is over time, I started designing patterns and people could buy the patterns and they could make their own. And so once I kind of went into that market, then when I actually sold that business to start my second thing, I sold all my designs and my patterns to a
pretty
pattern
nice.
company. So
That's
that's
pretty
kind
cool.
of how I made that exit. With some revenue. But I do still have, I kept, one of all the patterns. I probably still have some dolls boxed up somewhere and I have the magazine thing somewhere. But gosh, that was 35 or 37 years
That's
ago. I mean, that was, yeah,
a
like
first
around
win is a first win.
1991. Yeah, it
I
was.
mean, yeah, yep, you remember forever. That's an amazing story. Talk to us about your best habit.
My best habit is
Yeah.
every single morning. This may not resonate with people, but I get up and I have a strong faith and I spend that time reading my daily devotion and time with God. And I do that every day. And I have been doing that every day for years. I
So
wish
it's
I
like
could tell
almost
you
like a
exercise was my best habit, but I go up and down with that. I was in the fitness industry, I built health clubs and weight loss centers for
Yeah.
20 years. And you would think that that would be like a thing, but yeah, it's not. I'm an up and down kind of person with that. When I was running fitness businesses, I had to do it, right? And so
Yeah. Yeah.
it was the thing. But yeah, now that I'm not in those industries anymore, I wish I could say I was more
But I mean,
consistent.
that's more like a form of meditation, basically, right? It's a very similar style where you sit down and you
Yeah,
think and you just spend some time with
yeah,
yourself. And so very
yeah.
similar in that regard. Would you think?
It is. Yeah, for me it's
Yeah.
prayer and it's getting into, the word of God and that's just something that starts my day off
Yeah.
so great. I just feel like, one of the things in the Bible, it talks about, always give God the first fruits. And so the first fruits to me is, I grab my coffee, I sit down and then I have that time and it's not a long time. It's 15 minutes, but
Well, yeah.
it's, for me, it starts my day off on the right foot. So I've been doing that for many years.
That makes sense. And so you strike me as somebody who's really organized though too. Is that something that I would consider like some part of your best habit is somebody who's like structured and organized?
In some ways I am, and in other ways I'm a hot mess.
Okay. All
So
right.
I'm not a yeah, so what's so crazy is I'm kind of a visionary, big picture kind of person.
Mhm.
So I have people that take care of a lot of the details. Like I know the details and I help people with details, but um, for example, I have certain areas of my office that are just so clean and so perfect. And I have
Nice.
other areas of my office that's like, don't look in that corner, right? I'm just being real with you. So, but I
Yeah.
always can find things, which is the crazy part. I always know where things are. So in that way, I'm organized. Like I always know exactly where I can go to find that or get that. But it's kind of a hot mess of organization.
Nice. Well, it's funny is back in the day when I used to play basketball, we had a coach that always called it organized chaos. Or like
That would be a great description. Yes. Yeah.
yep. You knew what you were doing. You knew we were getting there,
Mhm.
but sometimes it wasn't like as smooth as it should be, but you
Yeah.
knew what you were supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Excellent.
really good at understanding what to do, but I'm really good at delegating. Like, "Could you take
Nice.
care of that for me?" Because, my assistants, they're so used to me. It's like, I'll throw 30 things at them, and so in that way, I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm very organized, but, it's funny, my husband's the complete opposite of me. It's like, he just is so organized in the way he does things, and I'm just not.
Just not. All right, so you've done international stuff. You're semi-organized, organized chaos, we'll call it.
Yeah,
Talk to us
yeah.
about some of your current favorite marketing strategies. What things are you doing now that you
Mm.
really love to do?
Yeah, so my favorite thing is things like this, Billy, and running
Mm,
my own podcast. I do virtual events. I speak on stages. I always speak, sell, and scale is kind of my philosophy behind my marketing strategies, and it's also what I help my clients do. So we work it out. Everything that we do is about elevating in their business so they can bring in higher end clients and
gotcha.
really stand out in their market. And so that's all of those kinds of strategies. We don't do a lot with funnels. When I say a funnel would be like bringing people into a virtual event.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we don't do like a lot of paid ad kind of low ticket stuff, like none of that, or none of those are our marketing strategies. So everything's higher level, but they all work. It's just you have to have a great strategy behind all of them.
I mean, you've put your time in, you have the expertise. Like, this is where everybody wants to be. They want to be where you are, like, taking the jobs you want to take, teaching people how to do
Mm.
things. So you seem like you're really enjoying yourself. Do you mind traveling and doing stuff, or is it like, hey, I put my time in. I don't like traveling and doing all that as well. Like, how does that look for you?
Yeah, my travel is very minimal unless it's for fun. If I'm traveling, I'm going to see family, I'm spending time with my husband. I will travel if I had a speaking engagement that would make sense for me, but it would really
Gotcha.
have to make sense for me to take that kind of time out of my schedule. So if I'm speaking, I do a lot of it more local within a few hours. I don't want to spend days traveling on the road to speak when I can virtually fire up a room and make a
Yeah.
lot more money. Like, I mean, I help people grow businesses, so I practice what I preach and what I teach. So yeah, I used to do more of that. It's not
Gotcha.
something that I really enjoy doing too much.
So obviously you're into the video side of it too, obviously, because if you're
Mhm.
doing the virtual stuff, when you sit down with clients and you talk to them like, hey, listen, we need to work on your video side of your marketing. What does that look like? What kind of advice do you give them?
Yeah. So one of the things I do, I have a magazine and I also have my podcast. And so one of the things I do with my clients is I put them on my podcast, on my show. Some of them, they want
Gotcha.
to elevate. They've been doing great things, but they're not looking like they are as good as they are. And so one of
Yeah.
the first things I do once we figure out their offers and how we're going to elevate their business and really take everything to that very next level, I want to put them on my show and shine a
Mhm.
light on them and let them now talk about, their new what kind of the direction they're going and that kind of thing. So that's where I first get them used to video. And then I want to help them get on other shows. But we take those and we clip them up into a lot of little
Oh,
shorts
that's good.
so that they can use those. And so that's kind of how we create those assets for them. And then I also feature them in my magazine. And so I'll interview them for the magazine and then we'll turn that into an article. And so I look for ways like that to really
Gotcha.
get them out there. Speaking is not the right play for all of my clients.
Okay.
But building their brand online, elevating that brand, being more strategic in everything they're doing, that is something all of my clients have to do. A lot of them, I help them start their own shows and
Mm,
help them. They bring in clients like that. So I teach them the client strategy with their show. So their shows are at a high level, but it's also it's building their show with the right people. It's like building really fast relationships. So
yeah.
those are kind of the strategies I teach them.
So that first time you have them on the podcast, is it more of a teaching moment, like where you take breaks and stop and like teach them and go over things as you go? Or is it just like, we're doing this, hop on the podcast, we're going? What does it look like?
Yeah, on our calls, I will work with them beforehand. They're
Yeah.
always a bit nervous if they haven't ever done anything like that before. I work with a lot of firm owners, surgeons, people that this isn't their thing. This isn't
Yeah.
their way of life. And so when I have to get them over the fear of it. And so we'll work on, make sure your background, your lighting, all of that kind of thing. Make sure, the camera's positioned in the right
Yeah.
way. And so I go over
Yeah.
all those things with them, but I tell them we can edit. We'll just have fun. But I've been doing this for so many years that literally they come off of that podcast and they're like, I had no idea that would be so much fun. And I'm talking to them about what they already know anyway. They're already
Yeah.
experts. So it's very comfortable. It's just such a connection. And then they're like, I want to do more of this. So I get them over
That's
the hump by
good.
by being with me and
Yeah.
doing that. And then we never hardly have to edit though, because once they get in their element, they know their stuff so well.
Yeah.
Once I'm talking to them, they kind of forget they're on camera and they just start like sharing their expertise and what they do. So it's really fun. It's a fun way to get them over the hump.
Editing is overrated anyway. Whatever they say, let's just do it natural, because editing nowadays feels like it's been AI generated. It's not as much fun.
Yeah.
So I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm
I
with you.
edit when I repeat things too many times and, you know, or
Nice.
something doesn't come out the way I wanted. I'm like, that didn't even make sense. We edit that.
Let's
But other
take
than
that part
that,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll cut out some things like that. It's like nobody wants to hear that. So
So when you sit down and talk to these clients and you get them prepared for the podcast, how do you pull their brand out, especially if they don't know what their brand is? How do you get to that part of their business?
yeah, we've already done that. So I have already done that with them. I help them a lot of times create the new offers or elevate the offers that they have. So one of the things, Billy, I help people do is get six figure clients. So that takes some real
Yeah.
elevation. Even if they're bringing in clients at 50,000, that's a lot more than most people are bringing clients in for. So we really have to work on that strategic side of things before I ever put them on the podcast. So until they're really clear about what their new direction is and their new offer and their new branding, their new message, all of those things, I don't put them on the show. So but the show is great because it actually helps them kind of solidify it and get it into their spirit and into their mindset. And I think that's what makes it so fun is when they come off of that show, they feel elevated because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, now it's real, right? Now I've talked about it, I've shared about it, and now it's super real. And so, yeah, it's just a really fun way to do it with them. But we've done all that pre-work.
All right. So let's talk about the pre-work a little bit then. Practically speaking. So when you sit down with them and they start talking about their brand and they're like, and you say to yourself, like, that's not your brand. How does that conversation look? Do you ask them questions? Do you interview them? Like, what's the
Mhm.
process look like?
Yeah. So one of the things I really help them do is be the one someone would choose, be the one that those higher
Okay.
level clients would choose. So typically when they come to me, they might look more traditional. Like, okay, we're an engineering and design firm, right? And they look like everyone else. And so there's no differentiation for them. They haven't taken that brand and elevated it into a completely
Got
new
it.
level so they can bring in those better clients. And so I have them do pre-work, like fill out a lot of forms and things like
Got it.
that before I start
There you
with
go.
them. So when I start with my clients, I come to our very first call. We do a strategic deep dive call where we start mapping things out. When I come to that call with them, that very first call, I already have ideas of the direction I want to take them.
Okay. That
And
makes
so
sense.
then it's a collaborative brainstorming kind of thing. And then we sort of refine it over a 30-day period. And then we start putting
That's good.
everything in place. So that's sort of the process. So the first 30 days, it's like, we're going to map out your whole strategic plan, where you're going, what your brand look like, what it's going to look like, what needs to elevate, what can stay the same, all of those things. And then we start working that and implementing that. And so they may not get on my podcast for a couple of months before. We want to make sure we've got everything clearly the way we want it to be and that they feel really good about it and they're excited about it. And then that's when it's time to put them on my show.
There you go. That's awesome. All right. So you've gone all the way from international magazines into now you're dabbling in AI. Everybody has to do a little bit with AI. So you've seen everything. Talk to us a little bit at some of the practices and some of your favorite uses of AI right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I love to use AI for content, and I even use it to refine my ideas and my thoughts. So one of the things I do is help people like restructure their offers. And so maybe they're not getting those multi six-figure clients or seven-figure clients or six-figure clients. So I want to help them really create an offer that's going to be it's going to warrant those kinds of fees, but it's also going to be
Yeah.
very easy for them to sell and very easy for them to promote themselves. And so I will put all those thoughts together in what I'm thinking for them. And then I love to use ChatGPT is my favorite. I've tried a lot of other platforms and
Yeah.
I think mainly because I started with that and it knows me so well and it knows what I like. So then I will refine my ideas with like ChatGPT or so
Gotcha.
I use chat for lots and lots of things, and I've used a lot of other AI. We use Descript, and we use gosh, there's so many platforms. My
There's so many. Yeah.
podcast platform is AI, and so there's a lot of different ways that we use it. But yeah, for my client work, for my content, I always put my own thoughts in though, and I always put my own ideas in, and then I just use chat to like elevate it a bit. One of the mistakes people are making, Billy, is they think that they can do a lot of things with AI,
Yes.
when in
Yeah.
fact, if they're not a subject matter expert, you really can't. Like
Yeah.
AI can take things to a higher level, but you still have to know what you're doing. Like you still have to have the knowledge and the insight to know if it's the right direction. And that's where a lot of people are
Yeah.
just so mistaken with AI.
Um, you live by the 80-20 rule. Like if you put something in the AI, it can make 80% of it, but 20 of it's got to come from you. Is that a philosophy that you live by as well? Because I'm hearing that a lot in space.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably more 60-40, to be
Okay.
honest. 60%. Yeah, I would say 40% would be me and maybe 60%.
40%.
To me, AI is great for like organizing and
Yeah.
framing things. And so there's a lot of great ways but even with that, there's been times, Billy, when I've been trying to do something in AI and it took me down rabbit holes. I'm like, oh my
Yep.
gosh, I could have already
Yep.
done this myself, right?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
what, but
Yep.
because I'm a subject matter expert with what I'm putting in AI, I'm not looking for AI to make me an expert. Because I already am a subject matter expert, I know that it's taken me down the wrong path. And that's where I think people are making
Yeah.
mistakes with
All too
AI.
much.
They're looking for it
Mhm.
to make them look like an expert when in fact they're not. And that's going to be revealed really fast to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. That's great advice. I love that. With all years experience, and this last question before we get to your business is right up your alley because you deal with entrepreneurs that are just getting started. They're trying to find their foothold. They're trying to find their place in the world. How do you talk to them about the idea of confidence? Like you have it because you put your time in, you put the reps in. What conversation do you have with somebody who may not be confident yet, but you want to help them get there?
Well, one of the things that I do, I'm very selective about my clients. So I actually am looking for clients that are already experts, which means
Mhm.
they have some level of confidence, but I take it to a completely new level. So,
Exactly. There you go.
yeah, when I'm helping them go from, I'm just going to I think about one of my clients from selling something for $3,000 to now selling something for $50,000. Once I walk them through the real value that we have created for them and why somebody would buy this, it's like I just watch their confidence rise. They're
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this? Like I never knew this, right?
That's
And
right.
so it kind of automatically happens where I wouldn't say I struggle the most with them, but where I probably really have to get them over the hump the most is the camera part, is getting on
Yep.
video, all of that,
Yep.
even promoting themselves to a degree. Like, okay, you've won an award. Let's get that on LinkedIn. Let's get that on your website. Let's promote that. Let's do a post about that. That part always makes them feel uncomfortable. So it's not a lack of confidence as much as it is they're just not familiar with it or comfortable with it. Once we start doing it though, they get in the swing of it. And then, so I don't work with people that I have to like completely build their confidence. Those are not my
Yeah.
people. When you have work with people that really are excellent at what they do and they're experts, it's just you now are shining a light on their
Exactly. That's what I was
expertise
saying.
and they
Yeah.
start owning it. Like it's even amazing to watch how they start how they become different with their
Yep.
employees and how you just watch them elevate themselves. It's so amazing, but it naturally happens with the work we're doing.
Help them realize the talents they have within, essentially
Yeah,
is what yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
once I shine a light on that and reveal that to them,
Yeah.
like I said, a lot of times they'll say, "Why didn't I think of that?" Like, "Oh my gosh, I never even thought of myself that way." And so that's always so super rewarding because they deserve to be seen and
Yep.
chosen and paid for the brilliance that they have. And that's really what I help them do. It's be seen, be chosen, be paid for the work that they are so excellent at doing. They deserve it.
That's amazing. So it's a wonderful conversation. We have to cut right to the part where we talk about your business, but going from like international dolls to coaching styles to gym, we covered a huge array of topics and
Oh, I
your
told you I'm old,
experience.
so there's
Oh my
there
gosh,
you
but your
go.
experience and your knowledge and your creativity are all very, very blatant. So when people want to get a hold of you to just maybe follow your stuff or maybe get to one of your speeches or, sit down and have a conversation with you, where should they go and talk a little bit more about your business, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So you probably, as I've said, I really help people elevate. I honestly just people make a lot of money in their business and elevate who they are and their business.
Great.
So that's really what I help them do. So bring in those premium clients. I'm all about, can you make $1 million leap with 5 clients or 1 client or 10 clients? Like that's a very different play for most people. And so those would be my people. So if that resonates with you and you're like, I need to be doing that. I'm already out there speaking. I'm already doing things
Yep.
that's not turning into big money or big revenue leaps for me, then you can book a call with me at acarden.com and let's get the job done for you. But you can follow me on LinkedIn. I have a big YouTube channel and I do have a Facebook community called Speak,
Okay.
Sell, and Scale.
Okay.
Because again, those are all the marketing strategies we use. So there's so many ways to connect with me. You will have no trouble finding me.
No trouble finding you and all
But
the
no, you can
experience.
Google me. Yeah, you can just Google me
Google.
and there will be a lot that will come up for you to follow me. But here's the thing, Billy, that's not to be arrogant. I practice what I
No.
preach, right?
Nope.
I
Yep.
practice what I teach other people to do. So
Yes. Yep. I mean, that goes back to that last question, confidence. There's a big difference between people bragging and just the confidence of I've done this before. Just, I know what I'm talking about. Huge difference.
well, thanks.
Oh yes, we appreciate your time and your knowledge and your experience and everything today. I know my audience gained a lot from this conversation. So please take a minute or two, follow one of the various channels that she's on. Gain so much knowledge and experience.
Thank
Ma'am,
you.
we appreciate your time and your help today.
Thank you. This has been fun.
And if authentic practical marketing resonates with you, be sure to visit livelocalwarmmarketing.com and learn to grow your business on warm marketing referrals.